and this meeting is held through remote participation by the Assembly of Delegates pursuant to Massachusetts Governor Charles D. Baker's order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law on March 12th, 2020. The meeting will also be live streamed on YouTube. I have a phone number and an ID, which I'm not sure I would be able to get out to people in time, but I will read it. There's a phone number, 929-205-6099, and you would need to use the ID 945-7989-6895 if you wanted to come on into the meeting to give public comment. The reason I'm taking the time to do that is because I think the remote participation has greatly diminished any public participation in governmental meetings. So we are called to order. I would like to have a moment of silence to honor the troops who died in service to our country and all those serving our country in the armed forces. Thank you. Next item is the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Douglas Brown.
Here.
Mary Chafee.
Here.
Terrence Gallagher.
Here.
Lillian Green.
Here.
Elizabeth Harder.
here.
Christopher Kanega.
Here.
James Killian.
Here.
Suzanne McAuliffe.
Here.
Deborah McCutcheon.
She's muted here. Just a sec. Yeah, here she is.
Deborah McCutcheon.
Yay.
Yep, we can see her.
All right. Thomas O'Hara. John Oman.
Here.
Brian O'Malley.
Here.
Randy Potash.
Here.
Patrick Princey. Linda Zern. Madam Speaker, you have a quorum with 72.59% of the delegates present. 27.41% are absent.
Thank you. Next is approval of the calendar of business. I'll take a motion to approve the calendar of business.
So moved.
Here a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, we'll vote the calendar of business for today's meeting.
Douglas Brown.
Yes. Here.
Mary Chafee.
Yes.
Terrence Gallagher.
Yes.
Lillian Green.
Yes.
Elizabeth Harder.
Yes.
Christopher Kanega.
Yes.
James Killian.
Yes.
Suzanne McAuliffe.
Yes.
Deborah McCutcheon.
I don't know why we can't get her unmuted. It's not working.
I could hear her say yes downstairs.
Okay, thank you. Thomas O'Hara. John Oman.
Yes.
Brian O'Malley.
Yes.
Randy Potash.
Yes.
Patrick Princey. Linda Zern.
Yes.
Madam Speaker, the business calendar is approved with 72.59% of the delegates voting yes. 27.41% are absent.
Next is approval of the Journal of July 1st, 2020. I'll take a motion to approve the journal.
I'll move. Madam Speaker?
Yes, a second. Is there a second? Okay. Yes, Brian O'Malley.
I will have a minor typo on page 24, but otherwise would approve. I'll discuss it with the clerk.
Okay. Any other corrections? All right. So the Journal of July 1st, 2020 with a minor typo corrected. The clerk will please take the vote.
Douglas Brown.
I'll abstain. I wasn't present for that.
Yep.
That's right. You weren't official then.
Mary Chafee.
Yes.
Terrence Gallagher.
Yes.
Lillian Green.
Yes.
Elizabeth Harder.
Yes.
Christopher Kanega.
Yes.
James Killian.
Yes.
Suzanne McAuliffe.
Yes.
Deborah McCutcheon.
She said yes.
Okay, Thomas O'Hara, John Oman,
Yes.
Brian O'Malley,
Yes.
Randy Potash,
Yes.
Patrick Princey, Linda Zern. Madam Speaker, the journal is approved with 57.98% of the delegates voting yes, 14.61% voting present or abstaining, and 27.41% are absent. And if the delegate from Provincetown could kindly email me the typo correction, that would be fine.
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Before we get into communications and updates from the Board of Regional Commissioners, I just wanted to update everyone that we have a new Falmouth delegate to the Assembly of Delegates. It's Douglas Brown. We had the discussion at the meeting on July 1st, and then we proceeded to, he was sworn in right after the meeting. So he's officially here as the Falmouth delegate. And welcome, and thank you for stepping up and having the Assembly and Falmouth have a representation, because as the largest town, it would be a significant hole in our process. So thank you for being available and taking on the challenge. I know you're a selectman, so it's like double duty.
Yes, it is, but I appreciate being here. Thank you.
Yes. Next is communications and updates from the Board of Regional Commissioners and County Administrator. Who wants to go first? How about Ron Bergstrom?
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Sorry I missed you last at the last assembly meeting, but I understand that Jack stood in for me ably, so I'm glad I made it this time. I'd like to welcome Douglas Brown also on behalf of the commissioners to Barnstable County and the Assembly. You know, I served a 12-year sentence on the Assembly, and and I was a selectman at one point too, so I know what he's up against. Can you see me, by the way? Because
yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I can't see you for some reason, but we had a meeting. We did not meet today, but we met on the 8th, and on the 8th we had our regular update on the COVID-19 crisis in Barnstable County. And Jack, if you want to give some details on that, or is Sean with this here?
Sean is off this week. Yeah, the numbers have stayed very, very low, and it's a tribute to the way people in Cape Cod have reacted to distancing and masks for sure, but also very aggressive work by the county and the Cape Cod Hospital to stay out in front of it. So, and there's no difference today. The 3-day average is about 4 cases a day with 1 death. And last week it was a little bit less. It was about 3.6 for the 3-day average 7-day average going back to last week. But that's still very, very low. And we don't see any negative trends.
Good. Well, the other thing we also awarded, can you still hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
We awarded a 2020 Mercy Otis Warren Cape Cod Woman of the Year Award. And I had a sheet of paper in front of me with the details, but unfortunately it's been lost in the big pile that I have next to my desk. So I'm going to have to defer to Jack on this also. Jack, do you remember the...
Yep. Yeah, Alice George presented on behalf of the Mercy Otis Warren selection team, and they named Mimi O'Connell for Contuit as the recipient. She's been an advocate for years, doing green energy campaigning across Cape Cod, and just a consummate volunteer. And she was a unanimous top choice during this selection process. So, Mimi O'Connell, great choice.
Okay. We also, under general business, we finally authorized the county to enter into the license agreement with the Cape Cod chapter of the New England Mountain Bike Association on that portion of Barnstable County property that we own off 132. That's been bouncing back and forth, but I hope this is the last we're going to see of it, Jack.
Yes.
It's official.
Yep, it's official. They've actually been out with Donnie to look at the projected path.
Okay, good. We received a number of grants. Under Commissioners' Actions, we received a grant, $57,300 from the Department of Agriculture to the Cape Cod Cooperative Extension to support staff salaries and benefits. A lot of these grants are routine. They're renewed every year. This is in the same vein. The Children's Cove grant came to $78,239. We have an agreement with the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development for the home program. Once again, this is a routine grant. It's $462,217. So a lot of money is coming in here. A lot of it, of course, is the same as has been past years. We have a grant from the Massachusetts Executive Office of Housing and Economic Development and Seaport Economic Council in the amount of $300,000 for Barnstable County Marine Simulator Project for a period through June 30th, 2020 to extend the period of performance to June 30th, 2020. We have $140,000 coming from the Massachusetts Association of Health Boards to our county department, to the County Health and Environmental Department for public health emergency preparedness, which is timely, I think. We have another grant, a similar grant from them for $13,000 for the Cape Cod Medical Reserve Corps, and that is about what we have done. So if I have any questions, I'll take questions from the Assembly.
Was the Children's Cove, the 78,000, I recall they used to get 100,000. Was that in addition to the 100,000? Or?
Yeah, yes, it was. This is
Okay.
this is a grant that started coming in 2 years ago to increase the number of caseworkers that we had out there.
Because I think, at some point we'll get an update from them. I know these times have been extremely challenging for the children. And then also, Ron, you had a brief discussion on the resolution. It was on your agenda. That was passed.
Oh, why don't I have that in here?
Because we moved it up and took it out of order. You moved it up.
I think we discussed, didn't we? I discussed that with you on the 1st of June. Didn't I? July, rather. Yeah.
Yeah. What happened is you took it up under public comment, Ron, so that the speaker could address it.
Oh, that's right. Okay, I'm sorry. I have the agenda in front of me. Yeah, the speaker was there, and she gave a bit of an update on where the Assembly stood. We didn't take a vote on that or take any other action. My personal feeling, if I can express my personal feeling in the report from the commissioners, is that it's well within the authority of the Assembly to make resolutions on anything they choose to. And, if although I may not agree with the resolution, it's certainly, as I say, within your authority. So I'm not going to comment too much. I think that this is a crisis, and we have to go into this crisis in a united front, and we can expect there to be disagreements as to the pace of opening up the county and the authority of the various participants to make decisions, boards of health, selectmen, governors. We can work this out as we go along, but I think we have a common purpose in maintaining both the health and the economy of Cape Cod. So with that, I
think that was the reason why I came, and I'm discussing this now as opposed to under Assembly, because it does involve you and the administrator. The reason I came before the commissioners was to explain the resolution, because the resolution really didn't get much traction in terms of the rationale behind it and the legal issues, which I see now there's a lawsuit about this very issue being filed by other people in this state. Just to give the background about why the Assembly supported the resolution at a level of 66%, but also to say that there was an immediate reaction from Senator Sear when it turned out that there was plenty of opportunity to have conversations and discussions with him, but it never it never materialized that way. And the resolution that I wanted was just what Ron Bergstrom just said, is we're all going in the same direction. We're all trying for the same thing. We all have the same goals. It's just differences of opinion sometimes. And it was an attempt to really just work together, but also make sure that the commissioners had the information directly from the assembly. So, and that was just the reason for my speaking at the commissioners meeting.
Okay, well, my personal opinion is that now that the issue is going to Supreme Judicial Court, it behooves the Assembly and the governor to get together and remedy whatever inconsistency there may be in the legislation before it comes to that. And I think there's simple remedies to determine whether the government to either grant the governor the authority to deal in a pandemic as well as in other emergencies, or simply for the legislature to take over and
yeah, the whole point behind the resolution, I believe, was the legislature has not done what it was supposed to do, and the state legislature needs to give the governor the authority. Otherwise, it was the position from the resolution that it doesn't currently exist in current law. And
well, there's a great deal of frustration out there, and we've been doing this now for what, 3 or 4 months, and everybody's probably sick of it. So, if people say things out of turn or they get into little disputes, we just have to move on and as you say, try to find common purpose in this mess.
Right. And work together. That's the whole point of this. I just did want to hear, Jack, can you give a brief update on, do you have anything new on the dredge or on any financial situations? Thank you.
Yes, Madam Speaker. The dredge is the easy one. They've finished their season. They finished their last 2 jobs in Falmouth last week. And let me take just a moment, speaking of Falmouth, to welcome Doug Brown to the county. You got a lot of great county workers here, Doug, and we're happy to have you.
Thank you, Jack.
The 2 jobs in Falmouth have been completed, which winds up the season. The booster pump is already in Fairhaven, has been disassembled, and it's in the process of being rebuilt and will be reactivated by September 1st. And the interviews for the new dredge superintendent are halfway through. We took a break this week because our consultant was on vacation, and we'll be back at it next week for the final interviews and selection. So all good news with the dredge. It was a good season all in all. Regarding the county's finances, this is really a complicated picture. Nobody, obviously, none of us really know what's coming down the pike, but I can tell you what Ryan Castle from the Cape Cod Realtors Association told us yesterday in a reopening conference call. We already knew that June was a very good month for the county. All we needed to do was hit the $300,000 mark to achieve our projections for the year, and we took in $1.3 million. July is off to an incredible start. We're already at $750,000 through today. And so once again, we'll break $1 million. Ryan said that the number of contracts that were signed in the real estate market in the month of June exceeded all months, throughout all history of Barnstable County. So that trend should continue through the summer with real estate closing to high-end bracket. However, there was a caveat, and it's a hugely concerning caveat. The inventory on the real estate market is down to three months. So we're going to take the approach that we're going to treat this and as a savings account, put the extra revenue from this summer into that savings account, and just keep our fingers crossed that at some point the market doesn't fall flat on us going forward in the future. Not because people don't want to come to Cape Cod. It's obviously what's driving the market, but we're going to run out of places to sell. So it's a very conservative approach to our budget right now. We're going to keep the hiring freeze in place. We're going to keep the capital spending plan freeze in place, and hope for the best as time goes on. The COVID challenge at this point in time seems to be under control, but we have to be conscientious there too. And we're doing everything we can through the MAC to increase our stockpiles of PPEs, and we'll continue in that effort so that we're prepared if there is a wave in the fall. I do want to also, I see Pat is here now too, so it's a good time to update you on the Fire Training Academy. We've applied for an emergency loan because once again, the cash outlay that I'd need to do the next step at the cleaning of that Fire Training Academy is the cap and the mounting and the new drainage, and that's about $1.7 million. If we can get a low interest SRF loan from the Clean Water Trust Fund, we can protect our reserves. We can pay that down anytime. We can always pay it off if the recession isn't a huge negative next spring. But we'd like to get a loan as quickly as possible. So we apply for emergency loan. We should know any day now whether we're entitled to that. And that'll be about 2% for the 1.7 million.
I'm on a meeting on the computer, but go ahead.
And the objective would be to get that cap done in August or September at the latest, so that we're not going into the rainy season with an exposed infield anymore. So that's where we are at the Fire Academy. And the good news is, but Ron already mentioned in his review that the maritime prop is now in its final stages. It will be here in a week or two, and it's going to the base JVCC in Bourne. And we've made some tremendous progress there. The burn building, when it comes in, is going to be delivered to the JVCC in Bourne, and we're partnering with the fire department out at the Air Force, out at the Air Base in Bourne, to reset the Fire Training Academy and the Police Academy. And that should be all completed sometime with MOUs during the course of the fall. So a lot of good news there. The leases. I'm keep checking my phone. I was promised today that I'd have the legal report by 4 o'clock. I do want to say that two things happened this week that take the exigency out of the formula. The governor and the House both passed or executed reinvigorated or refunded the SMART program. So there is no urgency now to get the solar up and running. So if you want to wait for that legal report that should be here momentarily, I did talk to Nick today, and he just lost track of time. He said he's been so busy with solar. If you want to wait 2 weeks, you're not going to do any damage to the project. That's totally your option. But the three reasons, again, that Nick Scobo was concerned about the county's offering, the first and foremost, was the middle period of the contract. We had the bond in the beginning, we had the bond in the end, but we didn't have any protection in the middle. And if Nick insisted that the developers had to give us a financial guarantee. CVEC's position was, by giving us that financial guarantee, they had to rebid the whole project. And that was going to delay it, and all the developers were going to walk. We couldn't have one without the other. And protecting the county's assets was my biggest concern, so I obviously agree with Nick. The other was a lot of noise was starting to develop from abutters regarding the conservation restriction at the farm. Very legitimate concerns. It also concerned Nick that wasn't looked at first before this was sent out to bid. And that was an issue for Nick. He said it can be fixed, but it's going to be a long, hard process. And finally, there was concern expressed, rightly so originally by the speaker, but also by a number of the abutters about capping this parking lot. And I say that rightly so. It's almost like the speaker had tremendous foresight, because last week I sat down with a new regional administrative judge, and we talked about doing a new building. To give you a classic example, there is no place for people to congregate in this building. So today, when they reopened, there were times that it got very uncomfortable in this building. The staff that I had here was extremely nervous, because there were people in the front foyer hanging out. They had to have masks on, or they were thrown out. But they're still hanging out. And there's no superior ventilation system in this building, obviously. So that sooner or later, the trial court's going to have to make a move. What I've done since that conversation with the chief administrative judge is talk to Lynn Foster, our finance director. Elizabeth Brashier has also talked with her. And we're looking at the possibility of working with the trial court to actually take this out of the typical DCAM process and make it a design build courthouse that we could finance with a rent guarantee for 25 years from the trial court. So that the county would continue to own the property and own the court and would build it and lease it back to them. It's doable according to our financial advising team, and there's little or no risk to the county. It's a process, however, and had we put the solar panels out there, this would be a foreclosed conversation. So I'm glad we slowed it down. Thank you, Madam Speaker, for bringing up that thought in advance, and because it looks like it may become relevant. This is a health safety issue now. So that's where we are on the leases. There's nothing to stop us from rebidding the 5 roof leases. And we certainly intend to do that. And now that we've been through the process once and we see how it went, Jennifer feels pretty confident that she can get that out quickly when we're ready to bid all 5 leases. So we still have to do the old jail first. We have to fix that roof. And we have to get the okay from the trial court to do the Olene's roof first and fix that. And then we can go out for the 5 roof leases. And we can certainly do something at the farm in a more limited way. So we haven't lost anything. We've learned a lot, and we're not going to give up on solar.
Great. Any questions for either Jack or Ron? Yes, Tom O'Hara. I'm trying to unmute you. For some reason, Ian, I'm not able to unmute. Ian? Ian?
Yeah, you should be able to. You're a co-host.
I know, but it's not working. I'm not able to unmute.
There he goes.
Okay.
Ron?
Yeah.
Yes, you're on.
Okay, great. Just to go back to the dredge for a minute, Jack, if you want to address it, a simple question: do you reach out to the work group that we had talked about in the past with the 15 towns? Do they have any input on that, or any thought process that goes along to them with the manning, the positions, and anything at this stage of the game?
No, that's strictly a county decision. They've never had any input on staffing. Their input comes in scheduling, which happens over the course of the summer. And now that we have a dredge superintendent on, he'll be working with Christine to meet with them and set up the dredge schedule for next year. So I can tell you that I had a long conversation, ironically enough, today with the town of Orleans that still wants to re-engage us and get us engaged with the dredging at Nauset Channel, whenever that's going to be. Now I can turn it over to an expert. And I've been told by the interview committee, Tom, that we've had some real good applicants for this job. So
great, good news.
Right.
So just one more question on that. Now, have we sent the dredge results, final results, out to those members in town so that they're aware of how successful the dredge program had been this year at the end?
Not yet. That's a good point, though. I think we'll do that. I'll write something up and we'll get that out. That's
great. All right, great. Thank you, Jack.
Thank
Madam
you, Tom.
Speaker?
Yes, Ron?
I just going to say it's been a priority of mine to reinvigorate the Dredge Advisory Committee and make sure that the towns on the 15 towns on Cape Cod have an input into the program and how it's run, and can participate in the scheduling, which often changes as the weather changes and other circumstances. So we've discussed this before, and I'm determined that, at least as far as I have anything to say about it, when we do have a supervisor in place, he'll be able to chair a meeting or be at the meetings with the representatives of the town, so that we can make sure that everyone participates and we know where we're going forward. So
Excellent. Thank you.
That would be
Mary
great. Thank you. Yeah.
Mary Chafee?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I have a question and a request for the county administrator. Going back to your comments about the grants that you mentioned, would you say that our grant revenue right now is on par with a normal year, or did I hear some new sources of revenue coming in through grants?
I think I haven't totaled it up yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if our grant revenues are exceeding our 3-year average by over $1 million. There's just more and more grant revenue coming in. The Cape Cod Commission got a $400,000 EDA grant, which is money that's going to be directed towards helping local businesses maintain themselves and get restarted. They also got $400,000 to do some long-term planning for rolling out the broadband. These are two very new grants that had never existed before. The second one is actually in a bond bill, a Massachusetts bond bill, and it was set up by Senator Sear so that no kid would be left behind ultimately on Cape Cod when it came to internet access. But we've seen a ton of grants, about 300,000 come in to help us offset the cost of boards of health. The county administers that fund to the local boards of health, and we pay for all the signs and anything else they need. By the way, our guidance officers from the county are now helping the local boards of health implementing some of the strategic problems. And I do want to say that we haven't had any complaints yet about poor management by businesses. It seems to me that most of the business owners on the Cape are doing what they're supposed to do. So that's all good. So I'd say in general, Mary, that the amount of grant money is going way up, and that surprises us. But it's Huey's still solid, NOAA's still solid. And the MOCA money was just approved this week by the Commonwealth. That's the mass money that comes out of the Criminal Justice Fund. So
excellent, thank you. And my request is really for the speaker and the county administrator. I'd be very interested in having the leadership from the County Police Academy come back to see us to provide a report on its first year of operations, on challenges that the Academy is experiencing because of the pandemic, and specifically to talk to us, I think, more in depth about the philosophy of policing and law enforcement that is in place at the county training academy, and whether we're doing any self-analysis and self-assessment in light of the nationwide conversation that we're having right now on policing. Thank you.
I think that's a great idea, Marion. I should let you know, and Brian's been involved in it, Brian O'Malley has been involved in it. The Human Rights Commission and the local police chiefs have been having seminars, like Zoom seminars like this, to talk about policing on Cape Cod. And it's been sometimes contentious, but generally speaking, very informative. And they will continue. So I think it's a great idea, and I think I know that Chief Sampson and Chief Cons would love to come in and talk to you.
Yeah, that was on my list when I saw that they had graduated their class, and I thought it would be great to hear from them. I will tell you, personal experience from Chief Carnes. He instituted community policing and officers in the school 20 years ago in the town of Yarmouth, and really developed strong community police relationships so that the police were more seen as almost people who would help you out. So that is the person who is heading this program up. So I have all the confidence that they will, they will take to heart whatever discussions and whatever, recommendations and whatever laws come down, because they are very, very interested in fitting in and being a positive influence in the community.
Thank you.
The experience from Yarmouth, In fact, I went to an MMA meeting where I was, the people at the table were from the town where the police chief had just left to come to Yarmouth, and they were not happy with me. So, so that was 20 years ago. Elizabeth Harder.
Thanks.
Oh, sorry. Technology.
There we go. Jack, I just wanted to ask, you may not know, but there was talk, did we lose Jack?
Jack? I don't see, Jack?
There's been some issues with the county internet.
I know, today. I was just going to offer that. When Patrick has tried to participate from the county, he gets kind of not thrown off, but I guess cut off from the meetings, and can't get back on right away. So that might have happened to Jack because I know he was coming from his office.
Well, Elizabeth might be able to answer, and it's out of left field. So if I can't get an answer, I'll completely understand. But there was an article this week.
Oh, Jack is here.
Oh, there's
Go
Jack.
ahead.
So the question is, I've been reading about how Joe Kennedy, is working with people to move Hui to New Bedford. And I was wondering if you'd heard anything about that and what that would do to our county if that got moved.
Every now and then you hear those kind of conversations from people out of New Bedford. It wouldn't be good. Huey's a big player on Cape Cod, and they are a giant economic development generator for the Falmouth area. So
I think that might have been the fisheries. I've heard that about the fisheries.
Oh, the fisheries as opposed to Hui?
Yes.
okay.
Okay,
But
well,
also
we can.
That was not conclusive either. And also, Hui's right now applying for a really big grant and investing in a lot of new money to rebuild their pier. So I really don't think Hui's going anywhere right now.
I hope not.
Yes, Patrick Princey.
Jack, I just have about, I'm talking about the capping of the Fire Training Academy. So when did you submit the application for that grant?
About 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
And they told us it'd be about 30 days.
Oh, nice. Is there any way you could forward me that? Is that okay?
Sure.
An
Absolutely.
So 3 weeks ago you applied for it. So you're looking at probably about maybe another week for an answer. It's likely that it's going to answer in the positive since the county revenues are pretty good right now.
We're scheduled to go, Patrick, before the Concom, next Concom in August in Barnstable. And that's our last step.
The first meeting of August, their first meeting?
I believe so. Or maybe the 18th. For some reason, the 18th sticks in my head.
Okay, and you anticipate immediate approval upon that?
I would think so. They asked us at the last Concom meeting, which was just before the pandemic hit, that we were at, to take down a couple more buildings. One of which we did. The other was still studying the. It shouldn't be an issue. It's concrete, so it shouldn't be contaminated because PFOS doesn't stick to concrete. And the plan would be to crush it on site and bury it on site as part of the cap.
Are you going in as far? As far as the work being done, is that going to be done by county employees or is it going to be done by contractors?
No. It'll have to be RFP'd. It's a big job.
How long will that process take once you get the approval from CONCON on the 18th?
2 to 3 weeks. All the documents are done.
Okay.
Everything had to be done to submit to the Barnstable Concom.
So on a scale like 1 to 10, how confident do you feel that we'll be starting capping over there end of August?
I informally promised Mark Ellis that I'd have this done by the middle of October at the latest.
Okay, so you're still banking on October instead of August or September?
No, have it done, completed the project.
Okay. Great.
Yep.
Thanks, Jack. Thanks, Madam Speaker.
Yes, Lillian Green.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you both for your report. I had 3 very quick, I think, questions. One is I was very pleased to hear that the Cape Cod Commission did receive the grant for $400,000 for the broadband, which is something I've been following on behalf of the people in my town who are concerned about broadband, that they have no coverage, even no cell coverage sometimes. And in a case of an emergency, in case of distance learning and working from home these days, these are critical. Could you forward any information you have on that to us so that we can have more information?
We'll keep you in the loop. That's a bond authorization. That's a little bit different. That can be funded by a vote of the legislature at any time out of that bond authorization. Right now, it's just a line item on a piece of paper, but it's approved. So it can, now the next step is to get it funded. And I should say, we've also had discussions. Secretary Keneally referred a group that's doing a study for FEMA. We were one of 3 places selected in Massachusetts to update this study group out of Northeastern University on how to get money back into the economy quickly here. And one of the ways we suggested to them, if we could get a revolving loan fund, much like the septic loan fund, in almost the same amount, about $30 million, we could lend this money to the towns at low interest, which would help them fund the last mile. So it would be money designated to delivering the last mile to the communities, but it wouldn't be a grant necessarily. So it's as a revolving loan fund, it doesn't affect the tax base of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts or the feds necessarily, because we recapture that money and we reinvest it back into the fund. So that continuum has made sense with septic loan. It makes sense to get the last mile out there. And they were pretty intrigued by the thought, and they are going to take it back to FEMA. So we talked about a lot of things.
Lillian, you had another question?
Yes, I do. Yeah. And so whatever you can forward to us, that would be really helpful. So I'm really glad that the roof solar projects will go forward and they'll go out for bids in the very near future. What are you projecting as far as the timeline for that?
Depends on when we attack the jail roof. I think we did get some bid documents ready, but we haven't put it out to bid yet. And we're still waiting to hear from the trial court on the Orleans District Court roof.
Are we talking about maybe a month, or are we talking?
Oh, no. I would think that those bids would probably go out at the earliest in the spring.
I see. Okay. Well, I'm glad that you are pursuing them and that this is a direction that the county is going in. And I would appreciate keeping us updated. And I also appreciate the due diligence that was paid to going through these so that we do the best we can for the county and for the citizens of Barnstable County. I do appreciate that. And the third thing I wanted to ask about is the Cape Cod Commission has been having hearings about proposed changes to the regional policy plan that were put forth by 350.org. And I wanted to bring that up because Ron was at the last hearing, and also there were 2 slide decks that I encourage people to look at that the Cape Cod Commission staff did have and explain to the commission board members at the last 2 regional policy plan hearings. And I would encourage the assembly members to look at that. But as far as this last hearing run, is there anything that you can update us with about that?
No, that's Cape Cod Commission business, and the county really tries to stay out of the regulatory part of that. So there's not much I can add to that.
Yeah, we can wait until we hear from the commission because the regional policy plan is theirs. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I could close, Madam Speaker, by saying as soon as I get next report, which should be today, I will get it to Janice and you for dissemination to the assembly.
Okay. Jim Killian, did you have your hand up? Oops.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker. Good afternoon, Commissioner Bergstrom and Mr. Units. My question was regarding the grant for the marine simulator. Can you just give a brief description of what that's for?
Yeah, that is a training simulator. It's a module simulator. It's 2 levels. The second level retracts into the first level when it's not being used. It's used principally to train town firefighters on how to respond to marine fires, but it can be used also to train firefighters, especially the basic firefighter training, on how to respond to firefighters. It's based on propane gas, so there's no chemicals and there's no other external objects to burn. So we can put that. But when we closed down the academy, we decided to send this grant notice back, get approval from Seaport Council, which we got, to turn it into a mobile simulator. In other words, we paid a little more money for it, but we got it put on wheels. And we'll take it to the various towns for various training sessions. So it could go to Sandwich, it could go to Provincetown. It could go anywhere it's needed to help firefighters train. It'll be used by the Coast Guard as well out at the JBCC. It'll be used by the National Guard as well out at the JBCC for training.
Great.
Is this grant was used to purchase this device?
Yes, that's right. I think the grant was $275,000. The county put in 25, I believe.
Any other questions for commissioners or administrator? No.
Just one last.
Yes, Doug Brown.
Yes, did I just hear correctly a moment ago, the revolving loan fund for the last mile? Was that regarding fiber optic internet? What was that?
That's
okay,
right, Doug. Yeah, that's what it's a dream right now. It's a dream. Randy Hunt and I have had a number of conversations about the possibilities, but it does seem to make sense. Our septic loan fund, I know you're new to this, but our septic loan fund has been a tremendous asset for Cape Cod. And we have a nice surplus in it. We've run it well, and we're getting better at it all the time. So we could do the same with fiber optics.
Yeah, we have a group working on that right now, trying to work out some kind of a, whether we can make a deal with Open Cape or what we can do.
Yeah, and it may be time to bring Open Cape in again. We haven't heard from them in a while, and they certainly are the players in this. And the last time they were in, it was all about the finances to bring things to that last mile.
Yeah, they're almost about ready to start doing the residential service.
Excellent, excellent. They were ways away from it the last time. So well, in fact, I think it was 2 meeting rooms ago that we had them in. So we'll have to bring them in.
We had a meeting in Woods Hole, and they had a neighborhood in Woods Hole that the people want to put the money up to pay in advance to get them to do it. So they're trying to think it through, and we have to do some work downtown first, which we're completing this year. Then it can be a possibility. Excellent,
excellent. Maybe a model for other areas too.
Maybe, yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Our next item is communications from public officials. Is any public officials wish to comment? Next item is communications from members of the public. Anyone from the public wish to comment? Hearing none, I will convene the assembly. The first item on the assembly's business is to the 7 leases that came through as ordinances 20-08 through 20-14. The reason that they are on for a vote is if the assembly doesn't vote them up or down or reject them, then they just kind of live in limbo. And these leases in their current form are not going to be implemented, and we have already decided, because of the legal opinions, that we need to do different leases in different areas. So this is a matter of getting them off the assembly's limbo land and getting it back to the commissioners. Once we reject these ordinances, they go back to the county administration, and then when they are ready, they will rewrite the leases for their particular projects that we want. If we just leave them, they exist, and it's just out there, and it's unnecessary. I think so. This is just a matter of housekeeping to clean this up, almost like cleaning up on borrowed debt. So that's why they are on the agenda for today. So I think we could just go through the leases one by one, and we're going to have to vote each one individually, I think. So this is, first one would be proposed ordinance 2008. I'll take a motion. This is courthouse in Barnstable Village rooftop solar. And a second?
Second.
Is there any discussion on this? So to vote yes would be to approve the lease. To vote no would be to reject the lease, the ordinance and the lease. So seeing nothing for discussion, will the clerk please take the vote?
Douglas Brown.
Dennis, you have to speak a little louder.
I'm sorry, Douglas Brown.
Yeah, just for clarification, so is it the consensus of this board that we're going to wait and redo these leases? Is my understanding that correctly?
Yeah, the consensus was because there are some legal issues and CFAC feels that they need to be rebid. In addition, there are, as Jack said, there are some issues with some of the approvals and the conservation group at the farm.
I did get the background. I just want to be clear what we're voting. So voting no.
We send them back, we reject them, they go back to the county administration.
Very well. I'll vote no then.
Mary Chafee.
No.
Terrence Gallagher.
No.
Lillian Green.
No.
Elizabeth Harder.
No.
Christopher Kanega. Christopher Kanega, he's muted.
I'm trying to unmute him.
Sorry, no.
James Killian.
No.
Suzanne McAuliffe.
No.
Deborah McCutcheon.
I just Deborah.
She's muted.
I know, I'm trying to unmute her. I'm not having much luck with that.
Deborah, if you hit the space bar, Deborah, you should be able to talk. Try hitting the space bar.
Oh, if I hit the space bar,
No, that's Deborah.
Thumbs down would work too.
Yeah, thumbs down or thumbs up.
Deborah.
Yeah, I'm still not recording anything from
There she
Deborah.
is.
Deborah.
Hear me now?
Yes.
All right. My question about these leases was, first, it would be better, I think, to move to remand them to the commissioners rather than to just act on them here. I think it gives it a cleaner deferral to them. And then the second thing is, when they come back, they ought to be much more uniform because they're easier to understand that way. And that's all I have to say. And here's your...
Yeah, Suzanne, you're muted. Yeah.
Did I do that to her?
No.
No, I probably did it to myself. How would you like to vote on this? We're in the middle of a vote. Would you like to approve this or disapprove the ordinance?
Well, as I was not here for the last discussion on it, I will abstain.
Okay.
Okay. Thomas O'Hara. Muted.
I'm trying.
No.
Okay.
Did you
John
get it?
Ullman.
No. No.
Yep, got it.
Brian O'Malley.
Reluctantly, no.
Randy Potash. Randy.
Randy. Oh, wait a minute. I muted the wrong one. Just no.
Randy Potash. I see her there, but I can't hear
do
her.
Too.
She's muted. Randy Potash. Randy, yes or no, or present? Well, Madam Speaker, do you want me to just absent?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So we can move on. Patrick Princey?
No.
Linda Zurin?
No.
Okay, Madam Speaker, proposed ordinance 20-08 fails with 96.23% of the delegates voting no, 0.93% voting present, 2.84% absent.
All right. Next, it would be proposed ordinance 2009. This is the lease for the rooftop photovoltaic at the Barnstable County Lab Building. Is there a motion?
Second.
Okay, so there's a motion and a second to reject this ordinance.
Hello?
Yes, Chris Kanega.
Just for purposes of discussion, I think there's wisdom in what Deborah said. So at the end of all these no votes, I guess, I'd like to propose a resolution that basically says, for the purpose of furthering the installation of these of solar panels and renewable energy, that these leases be remanded for prompt action to accomplish the goals. And I can come up with some wording, but I just want to say that in the course of saying no to all these, I think it needs to have something that goes with it that says we support the idea and we'd like to have somewhat standardized leases as quickly as possible.
Yeah, and even if it's not a resolution, it could be a sense of the assembly as well, or unless you want to have an official resolution, which we could.
Okay, that's fine.
Something that, as you said, attaches to this, that puts them, doesn't just reject them out of hand, but puts back in their laps. Yes.
Well, puts us on record as supporting the idea and just wanting it to be sped along.
Yeah. Brian, you had a comment?
I wanted to fully concur. I think that's exactly the concept, that we are not rejecting the program. We're simply rejecting the language that was presented so far, and it needs to be redone.
Right.
I very much concur with that. Thank you.
Right. Okay.
Okay. I'll figure something out and put it together when I send these over tomorrow.
I suggest.
Linda Zern?
I just wanted to make it clear that this was a motion to reject. So a yes would be reject. Right?
Yeah. No, you're right. It was excuse me. I said to reject, and she's absolutely correct. So I should have put it in the form of this was a motion to approve the lease, and then no, it would fail. So is the motion maker and the second willing to have this motion be to approve ordinance 2009?
Yes, as far as the motion goes.
Thank you, Linda. A double negative.
That's right.
Will the clerk ready for the call? Sure.
Yes.
Doug Brown?
I'll vote no.
Mary Chafee?
No.
Terrence Gallagher?
No.
Lillian Green?
No.
Elizabeth Harder?
No.
Christopher Kanega?
No.
James Killian?
No.
Suzanne McAuliffe?
No.
Deborah McCutcheon? Deborah?
Okay. I think just.
I'm going to just say absent.
Yes.
Thomas O'Hara?
No.
John Oman?
No.
Brian O'Malley?
No.
Randy Potash? Patrick Princey?
No.
Linda Zern?
No.
Madam Speaker, proposed ordinance 20-09 failed to pass with 96.23% of the delegates voting no, 3.77% absent.
Next is proposed ordinance 2010, and this is the lease. The ordinance is for the lease agreement between Barnstable County and it's for a rooftop at the Registry of Deeds, rooftop solar voltaic. I'll take a motion to accept the ordinance.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion or comments? All right. So a no vote would be to reject the ordinance. A yes vote would be to accept the ordinance.
Doug Brown?
I'll vote no.
Mary Chafee?
No.
Terrence Gallagher?
No.
Lillian Green?
No.
Elizabeth Harder?
No.
Christopher Kanega? Chris?
No.
James Killian?
No.
Suzanne McAuliffe?
No.
Deborah McCutcheon?
Abstain.
Abstain.
All right. Thomas O'Hara?
No.
John Omen?
No.
Brian O'Malley?
No.
Randy Potash? Patrick Princey?
No.
Linda Zurin?
No.
Madam Speaker, proposed ordinance 20-10 fails with 96.23% of the delegates voting no, 0.93% voting present, 2.84% absent.
Okay, the next ordinance is proposed ordinance 2011, and this is the ordinance for the lease agreement on the area of ground space, which is a property located at the Barnstable County Complex. So this, I believe, is the parking lot roof canopy, rather. Is there a motion to? Okay, and a second?
Second.
Yes. Okay. So will the clerk call the vote, please?
Douglas Brown?
No.
Mary Chafee?
No.
Terrence Gallagher?
No.
Lillian Green?
No.
Elizabeth Harder?
No.
Christopher Kanega?
No.
James Killian?
No.
Suzanne McAuliffe?
No.
Deborah McCutcheon?
Abstain.
Abstain.
Thomas O'Hara?
No.
John Omen?
No.
Brian O'Malley?
No.
Randy Potash? Patrick Princey?
No.
Linda Zurin?
No.
Madam Speaker, proposed ordinance 20-11 fails to pass with 96.23% of the delegates voting no, 0.93% voting present, and there are 2.84% absent.
Next is proposed ordinance 20-12, and this is for the photovoltaic at the Barnstable County Farm.
So moved.
Second.
Will the clerk please call the vote?
Douglas Brown?
No.
Mary Chafee?
No.
Terrence Gallagher?
No.
Lillian Green?
No.
Elizabeth Harder?
No.
Christopher Kanega?
No.
James Killian?
No.
Suzanne McAuliffe?
No.
Deborah McCutcheon?
Abstain.
Thomas O'Hara?
No.
John Omen?
No.
Brian O'Malley?
No.
Randy Potash? Patrick Princey?
No.
Linda Zurin?
No.
Madam Speaker, proposed ordinance 20-12 fails to pass with 96.3% of the delegates voting no, 0.93% voting present, 2.84% absent.
Thank you. The next is proposed ordinance 20-13, and this is for the canopy photovoltaic at the Orleans Court property, so the parking lot canopy.
So
Motion to.
Second.
Okay. Will the clerk please call the vote?
Douglas Brown?
I'm trying to.
Douglas Brown, all right.
He's frozen. There you go.
Douglas Brown.
Yeah.
No.
Mary Chafee?
No.
Terrence Gallagher?
No.
Lillian Green?
No.
Elizabeth Harder?
No.
Christopher Kanega?
No.
James Killian?
No.
Suzanne McAuliffe?
No.
Deborah McCutcheon?
Abstain.
Thomas O'Hara?
No.
John Omen?
No.
Brian O'Malley?
No.
Randy Potash? Patrick Princey? Linda Zurin?
No.
No.
Madam Speaker, proposed ordinance 20-13 fails to pass with 96.23% of the delegates voting no, 0.93% voting present, 2.84% absent.
And the final ordinance is 2014, and this is for the photovoltaic energy facility on the Orleans Courthouse rooftop.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you.
Douglas Brown?
No.
Thank you.
Mary Chafee,
No.
Terrence Gallagher,
No.
Lillian Green,
No.
Elizabeth Harder,
No.
Christopher Kanega,
No.
James Killian,
No.
Suzanne McAuliffe,
No.
Deborah McCutcheon,
Same.
Thomas O'Hara,
No.
John Oman,
No.
Brian O'Malley,
No.
Randy Potash. I'm sorry, did I hear Randy?
Yes, she said no.
Okay. Patrick Princey,
No.
Linda Zern.
No.
Madam Speaker, proposed ordinance 20-14 fails to pass with 99.07% of the delegates voting no, 0.93% voting present.
Thank you. Next would be committee reports. I don't believe we have, I don't know if anyone's had any committee meetings recently. And we did get a report from Lillian, who attended the commission, Cape Cod Commission RPP meetings. But all right, report from the clerk.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Things have been pretty calm. We're in the process, as some of you may be aware, and also information for the general public, to know and be advised that nomination forms are to be submitted to your local town clerks with 1 day less than a week to go. And the deadline for that is the 21st, and thereafter, once they're received back from the clerk, you will have until August 18th to submit them to me, the county clerk, along with a receipt for your statement of financial interest. And whenever people get ready to do that, please contact me via telephone or email, and we can schedule some kind of arrangement, if you will, to meet up, sync up, to be able to accept these and for me to give you the receipt. I know that at this point in time, it's a little difficult for everyone to just make a special trip to Barnstable to submit these. So as you are aware, I'm located at the lower end of the Cape, and I can somewhat accommodate people coming from the outer Cape. And when I'm in Barnstable, I can certainly look at doing the same for people who are coming from the upper Cape. Mid Cape is somewhat easier. And that's it. That's all I have to report.
Is there any other business? Yes, Lillian.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. May I say a few more words about the meeting I attended, the hearing I attended at the Cape Cod Commission?
Yes, I mean, it is a work in progress.
Yeah. Yes, it is. Yeah. So this was the second hearing that I attended. So I did report on the first hearing. The second hearing happened a few weeks ago, and the next one will be July 23rd. So the hearing on the regional policy plan proposed changes, which are 11 different changes that 350.org has proposed, it has been continued. The first proposed change was voted on by the commissioners. It didn't, with the caveat that they could change their vote. It did not pass, and the commission staff twice. John Eidman gave a presentation at the first hearing, and Christy Senatori gave a presentation at the second hearing. The recommendation from the staff has been that they not change the regional policy plan. That they are working on a climate action plan, and that is the appropriate place for the sentiments of the petitioners. This is the first time something like this has come before the Cape Cod Commission. They have issues with the language, and Christy went through point by point in a slide deck, which I urge you all to take a look at, of the reasoning behind the staff holding fast to saying this is not the appropriate place for these changes. And they are working diligently on this climate action plan. And I also urge you to go and attend the hearing. I mean, it was over 3.5 hours long last time and the time before, but even still, it was eye-opening, shall I say. But thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else have any other business? Okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Just a sec.
Deborah, hold on.
This is Chris. Sorry.
Chris.
Did we
we
get?
did not take it. Is it acceptable to you to have a sense of the meeting, or do you want a formal resolution?
Sense of the meeting is fine. I just want to say that the solar voltaic leases were disapproved on legal grounds, and that the assembly is in favor of renewable energy, and that the leases are being remanded to the commissioners for the purpose of prompt rebidding and contracting.
Okay, so Lillian, did you have a question?
Yes, I would say the assembly has a consensus that we're in favor of solar renewable energy. To qualify that.
Okay.
If I could just add one thing to that quickly, Madam Speaker.
Yes.
The other thing too is I would advise and recommend to the executive branch that, we have a lot of county properties that are much easier to work with. For instance, where we have our meetings at the old jail and many others. I mean, they should sort of start there.
Yeah. So I think right now, in order to get a sense of the meeting, it isn't a motion, it hasn't been seconded, but you could either each say whether you support that or not, or I could just ask for a show of hands and people could just say, and then if we have more than half the people, then we can go ahead and, how about a show of hands for a sense of the meeting?
I'd like to be heard on this before you vote anything.
Okay. Deborah, go ahead.
And when things go through the legislative process, getting from where we are today to the end of the road, when this piece of legislation will either have passed or been otherwise marked up, things are stripped out. Anything that was not part of the motion tends to be lost in the dust. I would suggest that to the motion you add the language that Chris just gave you that says this is being remanded, and that go all as a piece. It's just an extra sentence. You don't have to explain a whole lot, but you've now attached it to the motion so that you don't have to worry about it getting stripped out in the committee somewhere.
Well, I think because there were 7 motions for 7 ordinances, I think this was more of a general overall, this was going to be part of the cover letter that was going to go with these ordinances back to the county. Is that what you were thinking, Chris?
That was, yes, rather than having 7 more votes, that was the purpose. Yeah, to just explain that this was not a rejection of the idea, it was a rejection of
the specific leases.
The specific end product that we got.
You don't have to vote 7 times. You vote 1 time, it'll go in all the motions, and that's all you need. You don't need to do more than that. Just do 1 motion and put it in each of those, because when they go off to committees, things get lost. That's just my opinion.
Normally, this is Chris again. Sorry. Normally, I would agree with that. Although in this case, I would say it's basically going to the commissioners and the executive branch. So it's not really going. We're just.
Well, I wouldn't rely on them to fix it.
I think the assembly needs to stay on top of it. I appreciate what you're saying, Deborah. I think it has more power coming in from the motion level, but I'm not sure if we can just have 1 motion that then amends 7 votes.
You're a legislative body. You can do anything you want. Somebody may not like it, but you can do what you want.
Okay, who would like a sense of the meeting, and who would think about whether you would like a sense of the meeting or you want to amend the motion? I'll hear from people. What's your pleasure? Elizabeth.
What I suggest is just a sense of the meeting statement that we are rejecting these leases purely on legal grounds and want to assure the commissioners that we will support these leases as soon as they have them rewritten. Does that cover what Deborah wants?
Well, I think what Chris said is a little bit more relevant because some of these leases may not be coming back.
Right.
You heard about the canopy over the parking.
Right.
Yeah. So
at the end of each one of them, just so you have to.
Deborah, go ahead.
You have to distinguish between the meat of the legislation, which they cannot take away, in the sense of a meeting or a suggestion that they rewrite, or all of those things can just be stripped away and thrown in the paper, circular file. You want something that stays with this piece of paper. So you say we amend the 7 to make clear our legislative intent that these be rewritten before they're once again presented to us as we wish to adopt them, but not whatever you're trying to do here.
Yeah. Yes, Brian.
Deborah, I disagree with you. It seems to me that what Chris is suggesting is a sense of the meeting is all that a resolution would be in any case. It's our opinion. It carries no real value. So I think what we're trying to say is for both the commissioners who know what we're doing and for any interested public, we're not dumping this. We're simply going to go back and rewrite them and get them back. I think a sense of the meeting, it works perfectly well.
Pat Princey?
I'm sorry. I was raising my hand in support of the delegate from Orleans. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay. So it was in support of the sense of the meeting. Is there any, Lillian? Yes.
I would like to also be in support of what the delegate from Orleans is proposing. And that's why I asked the question I asked of Jack earlier. I think it's important to attach the sense of the meeting to this, and so that we can follow up with the commissioners and the county administrator in the near future, and hopefully not too distant future. Thank you.
John Oman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I once again would heartily support the language presented by the delegate from Orleans.
Okay, that's 5, 6. Anyone else want to weigh in? Elizabeth?
I'm in favor of the language.
Doug Brown, 8.
I'm in.
There's 9. Jim Killian, 10. Terry Gallagher, 11. Mary Chafee's got her thumb. Okay, so the sense of the meeting, I think we can have the clerk draft the letter with your sentiment that will go over with the ordinances. All right?
Thank you. Yep.
Because this may not happen quickly, as you heard. Jack said maybe next spring. So anything else to come before the assembly? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Right now we have scheduled,